Hi y'all, this is So Blessed. Welcome to the Blessed Place. How y'all doing? I hope you are feeling blessed and highly favored. This is a video response to a question that was asked in one of my past videos. Prayer changes things. And I'll place the link in the description box just in case you haven't seen it yet for some odd reason. Anyways, in that video, I mentioned bearing the fruit of the Spirit. And one of my viewers asked me, how do you know or how can you tell who is bearing the fruit of the Spirit? So that question came from the Sagacious Girl. First of all, I want to tell you, the Sagacious Girl, that I absolutely love your channel name. I love that. That's the Sagacious Girl. I love that word, sagacious. And secondly, you asked a very sagacious question. To know who is actually bearing the fruit of the Spirit, you first must know the fruit of the Spirit in order to recognize it. The fruit of the Spirit can be found in the Bible, in God's Word, in the book of Galatians, the 5th chapter, 22nd and the 23rd verse. Now I'm sure the fruit of the Spirit, they're referred to in other areas of the Bible, but we're going to use Galatians 5:22 and 23 as our point of reference. And in those two verses, the fruit of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Patience is often referred to as long-suffering, and self-control is often referred to as temperance. So you first must know the nine fruit of the Spirit before you are able to recognize them. Secondly, you can tell who's bearing the fruit of the Spirit by how people act. And most of all, how they act when they're not on, or when they're not in front of the boss or management or people of wealth or people of influence or in front of the cameras of YouTube. How do people act when they're not on? What I mean by that is, how does a person treat their neighbor? How does a person treat the cashier at the local grocery store? How does a person treat the wait staff at a restaurant? How does the person treat the person who does their manicure pedicure? How does the person treat the security guard at their job? See, anybody can be on, and anybody can fake some of the fruit of the Spirit, depending on the situation and depending on when they need to be on. But when the cameras are off, when you're not in front of people that you're trying to influence or people you're trying to impress, how are you acting? How are you showing love? In order to tell who is bearing the fruit of the Spirit, you just have to be perceptive. First of all, I think this quote came from Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou. When people show you who they are, believe them. I think that's one of the hardest things for us, especially as women, for us to do, is to believe people when they show you who they really are. People can put up a front, like I say, when they're on, but how do they act when they're not on? All you have to do is be perceptive. Like I say, how do they treat the janitor? How do they treat the person who picks up the trash? How do they treat the person who drives the bus? You know, just those little things like that tell you if a person is actually bearing the fruit of the Spirit. Because see, it's easy to show love to somebody who I feel worthy of my love. But what about showing love to someone who really needs it because they know not anything about love? Having joy, having peace that just surpasses all understanding in the midst of storms, having peace. not having patience, not being so impatient, and not being, engaging in road rage, or being condescending, rude, abrupt, terse towards people? Are you gentle? Are you kind? Are you kind to people who are not necessarily kind back to you, or kind to people who don't necessarily even deserve your kindness? But if you're just perceptive and watch people who gossip about other people, who backbite, who are condescending towards people, who only seem to have something nice to say or nice to do for those who they think can give them something back in return, then that's not somebody who's bearing the fruit of the Spirit. Just watch them when they're not on. That's the best advice that I can give you, because anybody can project certain fruit, certain portions of the fruit of the Spirit when they are on, when they're in front of the camera, when they're in front of certain people. But take notice of how people treat other people when they don't think anybody else is watching. Pay attention to what people say about other people when they think nobody else is listening. Pay attention to how people help others or don't help others when they think nobody else is watching. See, that's the thing. Pay attention to people when they think nobody else is watching. And that will tell you who's actually bearing the fruit of the Spirit, who actually has love towards people who might not even deserve your love. When you're being kind to someone who was just rude to you. Goodness. Sometimes you look at a person and say, now that's a good man, that's a good woman. Having goodness, that's a fruit of the Spirit. Faithfulness. People who are faithful to their jobs, faithful to their family, faithful to their friendships. Faithfulness. That's a fruit of the Spirit. The best advice I can give you, the Sagacious Girl, is pay attention to people who exhibit the love, joy, peace, gentleness, kindness, goodness, self-control. People who exhibit all of that when they're not on, when they think nobody's watching. That will surely tell you who actually bear the fruit of that Spirit.